In life, as you grow in age, you must become more flexible. But what happens is, most of the time, people as they grow in age, they become very rigid. In fact, as you get more experienced, you will be very flexible. You will be able to adjust with the younger generations. You will be able to adjust with the various parameters of life, because life keeps on changing, and you will definitely be a very elderly person, because you are packed with a lot of experience, and that experience will reflect in any action you do. But in practice, what we find is old people remain old, and they don't become elderly. They become very rigid, and they become like a tree, and they can only be cut. They are no longer a small sapling or a small plant which can be probably twisted or probably directed in a particular way. All those things are not possible. They are not flexible. They become very rigid. The rigidity is because of a lot of self-pity. The experience in a person, suppose as an old person, you have faced a lot of things in life. It should reflect in your actions, but it doesn't necessarily reflect in action. It becomes rather, you become very rigid, and you start there is a lot of self-pity. You start thinking that I have suffered a lot, and no, the problem is thereby some sort of a rigidity comes, and they don't change. They don't become elderly. That is why we can respect some of those who are aged, because they are aged on account of crossing a number of years of life. But you cannot respect them for their elderliness, because you can't go to them for any advice, because they are very rigid people, and really speaking, they would not have learnt anything much in life. And people who are full of self-pity can never be of any use to the younger generation. The extended family is supposed to be of great use and help to the younger generation. They must understand the fast changing world, and they must also help the younger generations to adapt to the changing circumstances. That is possible only when the people who are aged are able to understand the subject and become more and more flexible as days pass by, and not becoming more and more rigid as days pass by. Very rigid people in the extended family will not be of much use to the younger generation. Will not be certainly of much use to the younger generation. Yes, of course, they can quote some old stories, and they will keep saying how much they have suffered, and what a tough life they have led, and all that. That is all gone. That is all gone. Who is bothered about what has already happened? The younger generations are not bothered how you went through all those riddles and muddles of life, and from that, if you are going to share something much better, not that simply saying that you have passed through a lot of hardship, that is not going to help the younger generation. From that, what is the essence you have drawn, and how much you can apply that to the present day life? You cannot apply everything that has happened in the past to the present day life. It is not possible. And so, because the society is changing very fast, and we are forced to face a lot of new things, and younger generations face more a tough life. The elder generations do not have that toughness, because there is always some sort of protective shield for them. Still, Still, the younger generations are in countries like India are taking care of the older generation, not like they have abandoned them or something like that. But still, the elder generations should not be of a nuisance. They must not create trouble. Not merely saying by mouth that we would like to be of use to the youngsters and we don't want to create nuisance. All these things are simply verbally people say, but really in action, do they live up to that is a very big question mark. Very big question mark. And they are not able to forego certain things, and they are not able to compromise. They are not prepared to adjust. The main problem nowadays is the elder generations adjusting with the younger ones. So as you age, you must be more flexible and not rigid. And if you are more rigid like a tree, you can only be cut. You cannot be probably, no, you cannot be pulled this way, that way, but you can only be cut. And as you grow old, sometimes people become very crooked also because of the rigidity. The rigidity also can aid crookedness. And I have seen, yes, they become very crooked or sarcastic, and they hurt the younger generation by probably expressing certain things, and thereby the younger generations feel very dejected and depressed. Nowadays, depression is one thing which is very common with the younger generation because of the fast developing society and fast changing things. The younger generations too find it very difficult. So they go to external agencies or to psychologists for counseling. That's a good thing that is happening these days, because at least they have somebody outside to whom they can ventilate, and they can try to find an amicable solution to their mental problems. Had the elder generations been really very cooperative and very flexible, probably the younger generations would have consulted the elder generations at home itself by defining their problems and seeking a solution. So many times the younger generations become very closed with the elder generations because they know that the elder ones are very rigid, and they know that they are not going to get a solution by talking to them. In fact, the problem is going to become more huge. Probably the problem is going to become very huge, and so they do not want to create more problems, and so they keep it to themselves. That is also not a good idea, because keeping to oneself will create more internal agonies. At least the younger generation should find a way out by going out to the external agencies and psychiatrists and psychologists who really help these days. Medical field has advanced in a very big way now, and doctors are doing a very great job, and they have been helping even the others like nurses and paramedical staff. So many people, they help, they come forward to do a lot of service, and that is very good in a fast developing society. But still, my only feeling is elder generations are not able to understand the present day needs of the older generations are not able to understand the needs of the present day generation, and the present day generation gets drifted away from the older generation, and probably the older generations also start lamenting that they are not being cared or they are not being respected. And these are all some words which they use because actually they are very confused. They are themselves very confused, and so they use words which lead to further confusion, and that is not going to anyway solve anything in life. So as you grow, as you age, please become more flexible, please become more tolerant. In fact, more than tolerance, I will use the word acceptance. Acceptance is the closest proximity to nature. If you can accept life the way it comes, you don't need anything in life. You don't need anything in life. We are not able to accept things as they come. That is why we continuously suffer. At least the older generations should start accepting life, at least at the later stage of life. Probably as an youngster, you may not be able to accept life. I can understand that. But after having grown, if you're still going to be rigid and not going to accept life, I think it's not fair. You are not doing it's not you are not doing justice to the younger ones, and younger ones may not look upon you for any advice or probably for any counseling or anything. They won't look at you, and in fact they may feel that you are a great burden to them. So the elder generations have to keep in mind that they must be more flexible, and they should understand the younger generations, the problems of the younger generations, and not keeping on talking their own problems of the past, but try to understand the younger ones and sympathize with them and be with them. You must be of a great support to the younger generations in the family. That's very important. You can't keep on saying the same old thing, because things have all changed. It's not the same. So keep these things in mind and try to groom yourself in a much better way. Okay, see you some other day. Thank you very much. Bye.